Hey, what is up, mortals? It is Bone Loss here with a new video for you. Welcome to part 10 of What If Izuku Got One for All Early. I just wanted to greet you guys by saying sit back and relax. You're in for a treat. So we begin. Midoriya's face flushed over with confusion from Night Eye's request. I won't say it again. Prove to me that you're worthy of being more than a cocky brat with a power you hardly deserve. Night Eye gazed at Mirio, Bubble Girl, and Centipeter, signaling them to leave the room. They answered in kind, and the door closed behind the three of them gently. Bubble Girl felt nervous for the kid. It's been a while since she's seen Night Eye look that way. You think he'll be okay, Mirio? Mirio pondered at the thought. His 1,000-yard smile lit up a bit just thinking about it. He'll be fine. I'm sure of it. Night Eye and Midoriya stared each other down. Izuku was on his toes, wary of anything that Sir might pull. Meanwhile, Night Eye stood lazily, leaning up against his desk. His facial features showed no interest in the boy before him. You think just because you defeated All for One, that means that life will just be easier for you now? If anything, his fall can lead to your doom. Observe. Night Eye flicked an eraser with his thumb. It zipped by Izuku's face. Before given any time to react further, Night Eye was already within the foolish kid's proximity, sweeping him. Izuku landed a handstand to recover, but ultimately, his hands were smacked out from under him by Night Eye's second sweeping kick. You're too shallow. You don't think ahead enough. You rely too much on One for All, and that handicaps you. You've forgotten that you're still just a naive child underneath all that power. Izuku interrupted him with a stomp to the floor. The impact caused some of the floor to erupt upwards into multiple small portions of debris. This threw off Sir Night Eye's foresight. Izuku followed up with a second kick. The airflow that his foot caused sent all the floating bits of rubble towards straight at Sir Night Eye. It knocked him down and shredded up the room. Izuku smiled, not because he beat Sir Night Eye, but because his guidance of air had the rubble miss every All Might poster. Sir, that may be so, but I can still control myself, see? I didn't hit the posters. This was something Sir could not foresee. He knew the kid would beat him, but he was so tunnel-visioned he didn't even keep count of the room. It was a mess, but the All Might posters were untouched despite the pigsty that erupted the floor behind. Night Eye sat there, bruised, looking down before chuckling under his breath. I suppose you could be worthy of a title beyond brat, student. Sir Night Eye stood up, looking back at the room, and sighed. I'll have this clean later. Come with me, Midoriya. Sir turned the door handle and the door disconnected from its battered hinges, completely breaking off from the wall. Sir tossed the door aside and Izuku felt awkward after destroying his office, cringing at the sight of the door breaking off from his airflow. Out in the hallway, Mirio and the others were still waiting for them by the vending machines. Mirio caught a glance of Izuku and waved. Izuku just timidly returned 2 thumbs up as he followed Sir. Mirio cheered under his breath and Night Eye led them both into his other office. It looked exactly the same as the first before it was destroyed, and they both sat down. Night Eye started the topic at hand, clicking his pen. Do you know what the most important part of being the symbol of peace is, Midoriya? Izuku touched the tips of both his fingers together, reverting back into his timid behavior. I'm not sure I understand the question, Night Eye. Sure chuckled once, not from Midoriya, but for Midoriya, mocking him. Of course you don't. You may have proven yourself as tactical in combat, but you're still naive beyond belief when it comes to being a true pillar of society. Those words hurt Izuku where it mattered, though he took the opportunity to take in what Sir has to say next. Sir Night Eye carried on with his lesson. As you may already know, there was a time where I was All Might's sidekick. We made quite the pair, me and him. Because of this, it shouldn't be hard to believe that I don't have much faith in the likes of you. You're just some kid he picked up off the street because he thought you had spirit. I never liked it when he trusted his guts over logic, yet here we are. Don't get me wrong, despite my accusations and disbelief of the current situation, it's not as if I can blame you or him entirely. It was also my fault for not stepping in earlier. After all, it was Mirio who was supposed to be the next in line to serve as a pillar. At least he's who I would have picked and recommended to All Might over and over, but as always, he ignored me. Izuku cocked his head to the side. It was uneasy the way Sir spoke. Sir Night Eye? Do you happen to hate All Might for his choices? If so, then I'll have to disagree with your tone about him. Toshinori already proved himself as a great person who was just doing his best. I owe him a great deal. We all do. I don't find it right for you to talk down on him like this, even if there was a personal grudge between the two of you. Midoriya couldn't help but speak out against Sir. He wasn't going to sit idly by and let him talk down on All Might. Sir Night Eye simply sighed, rubbing the frustration from his eyes. I believe you misunderstand, Midoriya, but I'm in no way talking out of hate or disrespect to the man we both looked up to. I'm simply stating the facts that I believe he chose wrong when passing the torch on to you. I know this for a fact because the only other time I spoke up against him, he denied me. And now look where he ended up. Right where I told him he'd be. Night Eye took a breather from his ranting. He tossed the pen aside he was playing with and clasped his fingers together. Why do you think I gave you the invitation to intern under me? Midoriya clenched his fists, frustrated once again by what Night Eye said before, but was once again thrown off from his train of thought because of the question. Probably because you've been around All Might for so long, you'd have an idea on how I can control One for All? Night Eye stood up and chucked his chair across the room. Damn it! Izuku watched as he was dumbfounded by Sir's behavior. From what Izuku could call back, this wasn't at all how Sir Night Eye was when he was still All Might's sidekick. Izuku paused his train of thought and thought, All Might, was all that rang in Deku's ears. Sir, was All Might's death hard on you as well? Were you upset that what you told him turned out to be true? Were you trying to be proven wrong? Sir Night Eye's face lit up as he faced the boy. He rushed over and grabbed his shoulders with great force. Where would you get that idea, kid? Because you were right, I did want to be proven wrong. However, now I know that the future is never changing within my foresight. So it doesn't matter what I want. I'm cursed with the knowledge of the future, and there's nothing anyone can do about changing it. Izuku didn't so much as flinch or recede from Sir's words. Tears fogged up his spectacles. He went back to his desk to wipe them off with a specs cloth. Midoriya spoke out once again. Then I'll change the future. A future you can be proud of. But in order to do that, you have to teach me how to be a hero you'd be proud of. Sir Night Eye glanced at the boy with astonishment. Sure, maybe they were empty words, but those words still carried a pressure with them. Maybe, just maybe, he could rest his hopes and dreams upon this child. The next 2 days were spent on training with Sir Night Eye. Meanwhile, at the bar in Kamino, Shigaraki and Kurogiri are present at a meeting with the hero killer Stain. So you want me to join your little crew? Shigaraki didn't bother facing his guest. He indulged himself with another drink before responding. Yes, you have been accumulating a lot of press lately, and it would be beneficial for us to partner up. Stain thinks for a minute. In hindsight, they were in opposition of one another in terms of ideals. This could get messy. You killed All Might, the one true hero this world has to offer. I shouldn't join you. I want to strengthen society by getting rid of the weak links, but you just wouldn't weaken society by taking out the strongest of the strong. I should cut your head off and leave you hanging by your intestines. Stain drew his damaged katana and pointed it at Shigaraki. All the other villains in the room readied themselves for him to feel froggy and jump. There was a moment of silence before he sheathed his blade, and the room settled before speaking again. But for now, I suppose our alliance can help me for the short term. We will see how strong your resolve is. Port me back to Hosu so I can finish my job. Afterward, we can discuss business. When Stain arrived back at Hosu, it took no time at all to kill off Native, the pro hero, without any struggle whatsoever. A couple more days passed. At this point, Midoriya outgrew his need for his prosthetics. He took a quick break to look at the news and find that the pro hero Native was killed by Stain the day prior. The hero killer strikes again. Jeez, that's the 4th one this month. Poor Native. I hope his family's doing all right. Gran Torino arrived at the Night Eye's agency. My, I heard a lot of things about how much success he struck, but to be on this level's impressive. Well, time to see the kid again. Night Eye glanced over to Izuku while working on his paperwork. Izuku, today I'll be having Gran Torino assist me in your training with One for All. As you can see, I'm quite busy with other hero work at the moment. Izuku nodded and smiled. Sounds fine to me, sir. After introductions and reminiscing on the past with Night Eye, Gran Torino finally got around to taking charge of Izuku's growth. They spent the whole day working on building the muscles back in Midoriya's recently recovered injuries. I'm glad to see that you're still as peachy as ever, kid. I was honestly expecting the worst from you. Thank you for proving me wrong. Izuku was straddled along the floor, stretching his legs. Well, can't say everything's better, but yeah. Can't be a hero if I'm too deep in the past. At least that's what I picked up from Sir Night Eye. Gran Torino gave Izuku a hearty laugh. What a hypocrite young Night Eye turned out to be. Izuku didn't share Torino's comedic sense. His face was as serious as ever. He wished for me to not make the same mistakes as him. That's all. Torino cut his comical emotions short, understanding that he was probably in the wrong there. Well, regardless, he was proud to see that Izuku can at least look like he's moved past it. The training continued, both of them focusing on strengthening Midoriya's limbs and honing his martial arts with his entire body. Another day went by in the blink of an eye, and Night Eye interrupted their midday scuffle. Mirio accompanied him. The old geezer and the young man cut their sparring session early to listen to what Night Eye had to say. Gran Torino, your time is up. It's Midoriya's last day interning here, and we need to make the most out of it. Kid, you'll be with Mirio for the remainder of your time here. Mirio, try not to go too easy on him. Mirio saluted with a dorky smile. His presence was that of a pumped senior classman who was already ready to see how far his underclassmen had come. Count on it, sir! The bulky blonde approached Izuku with his signature smile and vibe. You ready? Izuku merely nodded in response as he leapt away from Mirio. His full cowling electrified throughout his whole body. The moment he landed, Mirio's clothes fell through him and he fell through the floor. Moments later, his arms reached out, propelled from directly underneath Izuku. His arms phased through Midoriya's legs and up his torso. The idea of it freaked Izuku out and he guarded himself. Mirio flipped forward with a strong punch through Izuku's guard, and as his fist went through, bit by bit, it shifted back to tangible, directing a hit to Izuku's face, sending him backwards with a bloody nose. Power! The sun took its toll throughout the day. Hour by hour, Izuku pushed his very limits to even attempt at getting the upper hand with Mirio. Sadly, to no prevail outside of 2 successful counterattacks. By the time the sky turned a deep orange from the setting sun, Izuku was hyperventilating on the floor, drowning in his own sweat. Meanwhile, Mirio indulged in the finer things in life, like a bare-naked water break. It took a bit for Izuku to recover himself. His muscles grew sore and stretched out from all the sparring and stretching he did today. Mirio was one tough cookie. Izuku could tell from all the hard work he put in to get that way. It inspired him to be the same as him, someone who worked hard and earned their power, capable of being untouchable. Midoriya waved goodbye to his new friends and teachers. They did it in kind as he was on his way back home. All that could be seen in the dark room Shigaraki found himself in were the reflection of light shining down on him from spectacles. It was only a moment ago that Tomura was interviewing the new recruits before he was forcefully warped here with the rest of them. So, you were his disciple, huh? My, you don't look all that promising, Tomura Shigaraki. Thank you all for sticking around, and I hope that you enjoyed. Before you leave, we would just like to let you know that We the Celestials has many other channels for your entertainment and viewing purposes. All the information you'll need is right below here in the description, so feel free to check out all the other incredible projects our team creates. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below. That's all for today's video, so goodbye and have a divine day.